Here we are. Here we are. Um, let's see if we actually get any viewers. Very, very slow. Um, don't seem to be getting very many views. Trying to get mainly Muslims to come into view because I love the Muslims and I want to save them by teaching them what their book says. Um, and I want to teach them all of what their book says, of course, but at the moment I'd like to teach them the last two shortas, which was, I realised the last shorta was 110, but that doesn't count because it's only three verses. And it doesn't actually say anything in those three verses. You know, just about the rubbish of Islam, basically, and Allah. But yeah, the last two verses is Surah 9 and Surah 5. These are the last two verses in full. And quite a lot of the verses is, especially 9, Surah 9 on its own, is all about unaliving, death and to all the non-Muslims, unalive them all, you know, do away with them all. I mean, for instance, Surah 9, first 5 verses are all about unaliving. Then 12 and 15, 19 and 20, 23, 25, 26, 29, 35, 36, 41, 44, 52, 55, and 63, all about unaliving. So virtually the first sort of, half of the verse is most of it is unalive, unalive, unalive everybody. Um, a guest. How can I see? I cannot see the guest in the viewing thing? I don't know. Hello, Joshua. Okay. Well, that's why I couldn't see the guests in the viewing thing then, because Joshua's left. Very nice, Joshua, to come in as my only guest so far, and then to leave. And seriously, no one's still in here. Even though I'm teaching, the Quran and what it says in the Quran. In truth, death and destruction in the first part of Surah 9, the last surah to be revealed, and also towards the end of that surah, the same thing. Death and destruction, 111, 116, 120, 121, 22, and 23, all unaliving verses again. Um, from the merciful, forgiving, loving God that Allah's supposed to be, I find it difficult that his last verses all contain unaliving people. Doesn't sound very forgiving, doesn't sound very merciful, and it certainly doesn't sound very loving. But the biggest problem I have with Surah 9 is 80. Oh, Joshua, come back again. All right. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know, Joshua, why. Yeah, I don't know. I can't invite you up at the moment, Joshua, for some reason. Oh, he's gone again. Okay. So anyway, yeah, Surah 9, ayah 80. This is where Allah says he will never, ever, ever forgive a disbeliever, even if Muhammad prays for them 70 times. He will still never forgive the disbeliever. But the Yen 101, Surah 9, verse 101, just 20 verses after 80, where he says he'll never forgive them, he says that he'll punish them with a tremendous punishment, of a tremendous torture, twice, and then he'll bring them back to punish them with a third tremendous torture. So in verse 80 and verse 101 is quite clear. He's never ever going to forgive the disbelievers, and he's going to punish them terribly. 103, just 2 verses later, he says that he will forgive them so long as they pay money. Bit strange, really. And again, he repeats that in 104. Pay him money and he will forgive you. Not the sort of thing a God should be saying, really. And
Hello.
Hello, Joshua. How
Is
are
it
you?
working?
It is now, yeah.
My phone went really lagging because I joined the second time and the mic, your voice was muffling, so I had to reboot my device.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Do I know that there's a few Christians that's. Can you hear me properly?
Could I name what? Sorry.
Is there any tips for dealing with depression? And as a Christian myself, I go through a lot of hard times, especially with my work because it's so stressing. I try to pray about it, and nothing's really changing. I'm a believer in God. It might be the sins that I'd be doing that causing me to be depressed. Because sins can cause depression and sadness. It leads you away from the truth, from Jesus, from God. So, have you got any advice?
Not really. No. I mean, it's not my field of expertise. That sort of thing, really. I've never sort of suffered with that myself, so it's very hard for me to even discuss something that I'm no expert in, or haven't even suffered myself with it. Obviously, all I can suggest is obviously praying and reading your Bible, and trying to find a good church that not only obviously does services on a Sunday, but also has things that go on throughout the week, which you can also get involved with, and perhaps even spend a lot of your downtime with things that you find enjoyable. I don't know what that would possibly be. I mean, I don't know, if you enjoy films, go to the cinema. If you enjoy, the theatre, go to the theatre. Things of that nature.
Yeah. What is this the same topic as last night?
Yeah, it is pretty much, Joshua. Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Is
pretty
it
much.
sure?
Short of
Nine?
5 and short of 5 and short of 9. Predominantly short of 9 I 80 and short of 9 I 103 and 4. But of course I'm happy to talk about other subjects as well, such as the corruption in the Quran, and so on.
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoyed your live streams on TikTok. I found them really entertaining. That I can learn so much from this filthy religion. Because I never thought Islam is like this until you spoke about it and the truth and what some of the verses in the Quran actually means. I've never got told this. I do have Muslim friends. They're never shown this kind of terror to me or to anyone. So it's really an eye opening. I'm gonna question them about it. I'm gonna speak to them about the verses. And if they want, they can join your live streams and have a discussion.
Uh-huh.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Okay, Joshua. Yeah. But yeah, I
Um,
mean, I'm happy to talk to them, but whether they will come and talk to me or not, I don't know, because they tend not to talk to people who have any sort of knowledge. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't get it how people can follow this religion. Honestly, it's so disgusting.
Well, a lot of them are lied to. A lot of them are lied to about it as well. So they don't even know the truth. The most of the ones that follow it.
Did you hear about Iraq, or I think it's Iran lowering the age to 9 of consent, like the age of 9, like to consent?
Oh yeah, well that's already. I mean, they're only doing that for Western purposes. It's already lower than that already anyway. So
Wow,
it's
that is
as I say,
disgusting. That
it's in the
wow.
Quran. It's in the Quran. 65:4 of the Quran. You can marry
So
a
they're
1 day
following the
old
Quran.
baby. So yeah,
Wait, which
it's in the
country was
Quran.
it?
Sorry.
Which country did the law passed? Like, was it Iran,
Oh,
Iraq?
well, I think it was Iran. Yeah, I think it was Iran. It might have been. I'm not sure which one it was. Might have been Afghanistan. I'm not sure. But I mean, as I say, that's just for Western purposes. They all follow the Quran, and the Quran's quite clear that you're allowed to marry a baby. So, yeah,
That yeah,
they've
it's
got.
so mind blowing because your brain isn't fully developed in your 20s yet, and
No. Mm,
it's so crazy and stupid. Like
yeah.
I have a fear for them girls, for them young girls. Like I feel really sorry for them. I feel like they should be more looked after, not treated that way, because there's gonna
Mm,
be a lot of great like victims, and they say that women can't even speak up, or they can't speak to each other. They can't raise their
mm,
voice,
mm,
and the
mm,
women's in
mm.
Pakistan and Arab countries, they can't stand up for themselves. They've been
No.
trying for
No.
so long, for so many years, but they can't.
Mm,
And like
mm,
it's
mm,
the men, it's the Muslims men that putting them down. Like that's forcing them to do this.
mm, mm,
I've seen
mm.
videos where you know men that are Muslims forcing marriages on kids. You know,
Yeah.
signing
Mm.
contracts, marriage contracts,
Yes.
and
Yes.
the
Yes.
little
Well.
girls was like, "No, no, I don't want to do this. No, please
Mm,
don't."
mm.
You know, it's truly shocking. You know, I'm so grateful to be living in the UK and the Western country, because I couldn't imagine living in Pakistan or the Middle East. You know, it will be horrific, so horrific.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, certain countries are worse than others, obviously, and so Pakistan is one of the worst countries, and as say Afghanistan was quite bad as well, and so certain ones are worse than others. But all children in Islam are not children; they are adults very quickly. The boys are adults from about 8 or 9 years upwards, and they're made to fight in wars at that age. And the girls are women from 4 or 5 years upwards, and they're made to have babies at that age. So, yeah, there's no such thing as a child in Islam. It doesn't exist. Yeah. But yes, I'm teaching them about the shuras because, I mean, when you read even through Shura 5, it's there's very many things in there that are stupid. 5:5, Shura 5, Ayah 5, they're allowed to eat pork and pigs. Something they accuse Christians of doing
Wow.
that's wrong, but it says in their book they can do it. In Surah 5, Ayah 6, it says if they haven't got any water to produce to do their purification with, which they have to do before they read the Quran or before they pray, they must purify themselves with water, washing their hands up to the elbow, their feet up to the ankle, their nose, and if they haven't got any water to do that with, they must use clean dirt. That's in 5:6 of the Quran. In 5:12 of the Quran, it says to give a loan to Allah. You have to give Allah a loan because he's very poor, Allah, and so he needs you to give him a loan. You know, it's as I say, that it's 538 as well is another disturbing verse. It's the verse they use for the punishment for stealing and thieving, and basically, um, I don't know what's happening there, Joshua. You seem to have gone and you're sort of half there and half not there. So I'll remove you, and if you want to come back up, come back up. But 538, that's the verse they use for the punishment of stealing. And the punishment for stealing is exactly the same for everybody. So, regardless of what you've stolen, and regardless of the reasons, and also regardless of what you've actually done to get the thing that you've stolen. So obviously there are many different, scenarios where someone can steal something. Like for instance, you can go into a bank. You can steal the money from a bank, and of course, while you're doing that, you could perhaps maybe unalive someone who works in the bank while you're stealing their money, and they're trying to stop you. You know, again, the punishment is exactly the same for that crime as it is for a poor mum with a child who's perhaps stolen one egg to feed her and her child. Those two people will receive exactly the same punishment in Sharia, in Islam, using Surah 5, Ayah 38 of the Quran. And that is a public punishment where they cut off one of your hands and then one of your feet from the opposite side. So if they cut the left hand off, they cut the right foot off. If they cut the right hand off, they cut the left foot off. And that, as I say, that punishment is exactly the same for everyone who's stolen, regardless of what they've stolen and regardless of what they've done while they're doing that stealing. So if they hurt someone, as I say, they unalive someone while they're doing the stealing, that punishment is exactly the same for that person as it is for the poor mother who's stealing to try to feed her and her child. It's well, I mean, it's ludicrous. The whole thing is just ludicrous. Um, I mean, how you can justify that, I don't know.
Is it working?
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
think.
I will be on TikTok again, Trevor, next week when my ban ends. They banned me for hate speech and hate behaviour because I kept saying Muzzies instead of Muslims, and I kept saying Mr. Allah Subhan Allah. So because of that, TikTok banned me for hate speech and hate behaviour because according to Islam and TikTok, that is hate speech and hate behaviour, apparently. I mean,
Have
of
you
course, chopping someone's head off isn't, that's love.
have you tried joining podcasts on TikTok or YouTube to grow your YouTube channel up or TikTok?
All right. I
Have
don't
you?
know how to do that.
I think. Do you know someone who called Ahmed X Muslim on TikTok?
Ahmed ex-Muslim, yeah, I know him, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know him, but I've seen him, yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen his video.
I think you two should like join a podcast or something, or maybe you join his live and just be his co-host. I feel like because he gets a lot of views, so I feel like you can benefit off his live stream.
Right,
Um, I
right.
feel like that's how you can grow your TikTok.
Oh, right. Well,
As well when
It's not the TikTok I need to grow. I mean, that's 200-300 at a time on that sometimes. So it's the YouTube. The YouTube and this one is the one I need to grow because whenever I come on here, I only ever seem to get 3, 4, or 5 people. And yet I see other people, they get 30, 40, 50, 200, 300. some thousands, some 100,000, some 1.4K, you know.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how they do it.
So like this is a thing because they don't use like YouTube has like as it like like as it for their followers and for their like views. They use other platforms like TikTok or Instagram. If they have a large following on TikTok or Instagram, they will promote the YouTube channel. So that way, the more followers you have on TikTok and the more views you have on TikTok or any other social platform, that gets you more views
Yeah,
and
but some of them don't
subscribers.
go. Let's just say some of them don't go, aren't even on TikTok. So it's not, you know, they're not doing it that way. There's some other way they do, and you know, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, a
Yeah,
lot of them seem to be American, so maybe that's it, because they live in America, and obviously America's such a big country. Um, I should imagine there's, you know, so many more Americans that sit watching YouTube than there are British, and so obviously if you're American and you go on YouTube, I suppose you just naturally end up getting more viewers. I don't know.
have you ever tried streaming in American time, or like tried doing a live streaming where it's um even in America time instead of the British time?
No, but that's why I've come on later. I mean, I was on earlier. I came on about 6 o'clock, and there was only two people. And so I'd worked out that it was still only sort of 1 o'clock in the afternoon in America. So I thought, okay, I'll stop that stream and then I'll come back on here now this time, because now in America it's sort of 5, 6 in the evening. People are getting home, you know, and it would be a
Yeah,
bit busier, but we've still only got three people. So
yeah.
yeah,
I,
I mean,
I
I don't
feel
know what
like
to do, you know,
yeah,
really,
you
I
need to
don't.
promote your YouTube channel on your TikTok lives,
Hmm. But then,
because
I mean, it's Muslims I want to come in here anyway, because it's Muslims I want to bring up and you know, and question and debate. But that's what I say. For some reason, the Muslims don't see. They seem to. I don't know. Even the popular ones, even the popular people who have popular streams, the Muslims don't seem to want to go onto YouTube. Um, I think it's because they haven't, you know, that it's a lot harder for them to complain to YouTube and get that shut down. Whereas on places like TikTok, they can complain, and as long as enough of them complain, TikTok will close the channel down. So that's why I
it's
think
too
so many
soft.
of them are on TikTok, and not so many of them come onto YouTube.
Yeah, it's too soft.
Yeah,
When
it is
if you
too
do,
soft.
are you planning on posting videos on your TikTok account?
No, because it's I did that on me last lots of accounts, and when you do that, then they have more they have more chance of shutting your channel down, because they complain about the videos get banned, and once you've got 4 or 5 bans on a video or on a lot, they ban the whole channel. So you your channel has a better chance of getting banned completely if you do videos.
Yeah,
If you don't have any videos, literally all they can complain about is your lives. And obviously, if you try and keep your lives as clean as possible so that they don't ban those, then there's not much chance of you getting the TikTok account banned, which is what I want to try and aim for. And that's what I say. That's why I've stopped having a go at them when they come up and you know, they're disrespectful or whatever. I just drop them back down and apologise and say, Father, forgive them, and that's it. You know. And all I was doing, as I say, is saying Muzzies instead of Muslim and Mr. Allah sub pan Allah, and thinking, well, that's not going to be enough to get it banned. But I was wrong. It was enough to get it banned. So now, when I go back on it next week, instead of doing that, I will say Muslims only, and I will say Allah only. And if I don't, then obviously, as I say, continue to be kind and respectful to them, then there should be no reason why
Yeah,
TikTok should ban me again.
yeah. Do you know what
And
it is?
so I can
Because
hope to
it's
stay on that then. But I mean, I
it.
still would like to grow this one as well because it's another outlet, and it's another way of getting the message across. And people do need to learn the truth about Islam because if you leave it to the Muslims, they're not going to tell you the truth. They're just going to continue to give the lies.
Yeah, I've seen much progress on your YouTube channel because when you first started live streaming, you only had 0 viewers, and once you done these like TikTok lives, you went from 0 viewers to 8 viewers. Like it might not be much, but there's progress, and you've been gaining hundreds of new followers on TikTok, and like every day you live stream on TikTok is getting an extra 20 or 30 of people watching. And it just pushes the algorithm on the For You page, and
That's it,
I've
yeah.
and the more followers you get on TikTok, the more people will subscribe to YouTube because it's you've got your YouTube link added to your TikTok. So when people view your profile, your YouTube link is already there, like in the bio, like you can't miss it, and it just takes them straight to your YouTube channel. Like on YouTube, it's not like scrolling. Like people can't view your live streams if they're not subscribed. Like on the homepage, like they only get notifications if they subscribe to your YouTube channel. So you need to promote your YouTube channel on your TikTok lives once you start doing them again. Because once you do that and you've got 300 people watching, you probably get around 50 or 60 subscribing.
Yeah,
out of that 300.
yeah.
So you need to play it.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah,
case as well of doing more YouTube rather than, just coming on doing more YouTube, because that way as well it's you can repost the lives and they stay up then and people can see them, and as you say, the more people that see them, it goes into the algorithm, and then the better algorithm you get, that YouTube promote it even more, and yeah, it will slowly get
yeah,
out
but
there
it's
that way.
really hard. It is hard to grow your YouTube channel compared to
Oh yeah,
TikTok. You
yeah,
need to,
yeah,
you need to focus on TikTok more, I think, because the more followers you get on TikTok, the more subscribers you get.
yeah. I mean, I will,
If you
let's say,
promote
but
it.
it's if you keep getting banned on TikTok, then you can't. You see, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, TikTok keep banning me. I mean, I've had about 10, 12 different accounts over the years on TikTok, and they've banned each and every single one of them. So
yeah,
obviously, if you can get on TikTok and stay on there without the Muslims getting TikTok to ban it for even ridiculous things, then fine. But if you're trying your best not to break the rules, and not to give TikTok a reason to ban it, and they still keep banning it, there's not really a lot you can do.
yeah. There's a
Yeah,
tip. You should. I think you can add hashtags to your TikTok. No, not to your YouTube lives or videos, and that just pushes it onto like, the page is what people are searching for. So let's say if you put an hashtag of like Muslims, Muslims will go on that and they'll probably see your live stream or video. So
yeah,
I think you
yeah,
should, you should have a look at it on YouTube, saying like how to add hashtags to your live stream or your
yeah, yeah,
videos,
yeah. I
as
mean,
well as
it's
thumbnails.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Do thumbnails.
I'm not very computer literate, you see, so it's not really something that I can do all that sort of stuff, really. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
maybe
it's
Snore can help with you with that.
It's taken
with
me months and months and months and months and months just to work out how to use this StreamYard and then link that to YouTube. So yeah.
maybe Snore. What? Maybe you can ask Snore for help on YouTube, like with hashtags and thumbnails, and
Mm,
designing your YouTube page.
mm,
Um,
mm.
because I feel like that will make your YouTube like really stand out to a new
Yeah,
subscriber.
yeah. Well, I mean, as I say, I wouldn't. If I can manage to stay on TikTok and stop getting TikTok banned, then there's no need for it because I don't need YouTube then. As I say,
Yeah,
the only reason why I need the YouTube is when they ban it on the TikTok, so then I can start using the YouTube instead. But as I say, if I can manage to get onto the TikTok and stay on the TikTok, then I won't really need the YouTube anyway. So, and
yeah, but
that's the plan. The plan is to get on TikTok and stay on TikTok without them banning it.
I'm trying to figure out how Ahmed X Muslim on YouTube has got thousands of viewers like on his videos, and I don't get it how he's got that much.
Because most of
Maybe,
them are on TikTok.
yeah.
No, they use. There's equipment that you can get and buy and use, and the equipment will push it up further.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, there's special computer equipment that you can get, and it manipulates the figures, and so the figures just go sky high. And yeah, it's basically a big cheat, a big con. A lot
yeah,
of them do. A lot of the Muslims use that. They use special computer equipment, and as I say, it it pushes the figures through the roof. That helps the algorithm. That makes YouTube promote it even more. That's yeah. So that's how they do it. Basically, it's all a big con. They all end up with, so say, you look at all of them, all the Muslims, they end up with millions and millions of viewers, and all of it is basically computer for fraud and computer forgery. That
yeah,
there's equipment that you can buy and you can plug it into your computer and it will manipulate the figures. So instead of you having 2 or 3 viewers, you've suddenly got 20 billion viewers. And
yeah,
of course, once YouTube sees that, they think, "Oh, right, yeah, great. You know, this guy's really popular." And then YouTube start pushing it. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's crazy. What they're doing is illegal. Like
Oh,
it
yeah,
is,
basically, yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's crazy.
I know I was Serraro. I was getting loads of views on TikTok, but the Muslims didn't like me. I don't know why the Muslims didn't like me.
But you're getting loads of viewers on your TikTok live stream as
Yeah, I
well.
was. Yeah, I was getting more views on TikTok, say, but I know I was doing it as well on some of my older channels. Some of my older channels. I mean, one night I had over 1,000 viewers on one of my older channels before they
Yeah.
banned that.
You need
Yeah,
to promote your YouTube channel on your TikTok lives. I think that's the best way to grow your
yeah.
YouTube
I mean, I'm gonna try and do that. So
because
yeah,
you went
I'm
from
gonna.
50 to 90 or 80.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
you're
yeah. Well,
90.
it took me 3 years to get to 50. And I was like, what's going on? Other people
Yeah.
get like thousands within a minute, you know what I mean? And it took me
Mm.
3, 4 years to get to 50. I was
Yeah, I
I
don't know
was
how it
stuck up
works on
I was
YouTube.
stuck on like 10, 12 for about 3 years. And I was making videos and everything, trying, and no one was viewing them. The videos were only getting like 1 view.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah.
All good fun.
Yeah. So I feel like hashtags. You should search into the hashtags on your live streams on YouTube and videos.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean,
have a
if I
look into
work
it.
out what a hashtag is, then yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
That funny square thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit like Allah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very much like Allah. In fact, Allah's easier. Allah's easier to understand than a computer. Well, it is for me anyway.
Yeah.
I can understand Allah more than I can the computer. And I wanted to go to that one as well. Can Allah enter his creation? That was another one I wanted to do as well, because they're constantly saying that Allah's not allowed to enter his creation, because he's so powerful that, you know, it basically destroy the creation if he came into it. But yet all their books say that he has entered his creation. Um, when he came down to Musa to give Musa the Torah, he entered his creation. He came down to the burning bush, a story that they stole from the Bible, to talk to Musa. He was in the burning bush when he talked to Musa. When he created the heaven and earth, he created the earth first, according to the Quran narrative. You read the Quran narrative, and apparently Allah created the earth first, and then he created the heavens and the solar system, which is kind of the wrong way, because obviously the earth is inside the solar systems and the heavens. So if you create the earth first and you haven't created the heavens and the solar, you've got nowhere to put the earth. So it's kind of a strange way for him to do it, but that's what the Quran states, that he created the earth first, then he created the heavens and you know, the stars and everything else. And again, if he did that, he must have been on the earth when he created the earth before he created the heavens. So again, he must have been in his creation. You know, and yet, as I say, they claim he can't do that. He can't be in his creation. But all of their books and sources say that he is in his creation. There's a hadith that says he comes down to the first heaven every third part of the night, which again is kind of strange, because somewhere in the world it's the third part of the night all the time. So that he must be in the first heaven all the time then. And that's part of his creation. So, yeah. And
Yeah,
yet they
Allah.
say he's not in his creation. So that's another strange one that, you know, they always get tripped up on. And when you ask as well, how does he come from the seventh heavens down to the first heaven? They can't answer that. They have no, you know, they have no answer for that at all. He does it by using his majestic power in a way that doesn't isn't befitting his majestic ways or something. They reckon, they say. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Why do Muslims scared of dogs?
That's again
Why are
Muhammad.
Muslims?
Yeah, that's Muhammad's fault, because apparently one day when the angel Gabriel came to visit him in his house, um, he had to go away, and he didn't come back for a while. And when Muhammad finally caught up with him, and he said, "Well, you know, why haven't you been to see me for such a long while?" Gabriel told him, "Well, I did come to your house, but I couldn't come into it because you had idols in your house." So he had statues of Mary and Jesus, and you had a black dog in your house. Although he didn't say it was a black dog, he just said a dog. And the angel said to him he wasn't allowed to enter a house where there was a dog inside it or statues. So that's the point that Muhammad said all the statues must be destroyed and all the dogs. And at that time in Arabia, they used dogs as sheep dogs to protect the sheep from wild animals. And so they were saying, well, look, we can't unalive all the dogs because some of them we use them and they're useful to us. And so Muhammad changed his mind and said, oh, no, I didn't say all of the dogs. I meant just the black dogs. Just the black dogs are evil. And so you can't have any black dogs. So if you want to scare a Muslim, get a big black dog. They're petrified of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that story. Yeah. Apparently they're from Shaitan. Only the black dog. So I say, if you've got a white dog, that's fine. That's not from Shaitan. But if you've got a black dog, that's from Shaitan.
What do you think?
Exactly. Exactly. You can have any coloured dog you like, but not a black one. Any other coloured dog is fine, but just not a black one. And don't ask me about Dalmatians because I'm not sure where they stand with Dalmatians, which are mainly white with black spots. I suppose they're mainly okay apart from the black spots. Yes, yeah, that's that story there with the black dog. Yes, apparently the angel couldn't visit him because he had a dog in his house. Yes.
So, do you think Muhammad created Islam for popularity, like to get him like famous?
No, I don't think Muhammad created it at all. I don't even think there was a Muhammad. Someone else more powerful and more rich and clever created this Islam and Muhammad. It wasn't just one person either. It was a group of people who held a lot of power and a lot of wealth. And at the time, that it was sort of coming into existence, the only people who had that power and wealth was the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah.
The Ottoman Empire, who started in Turkey and then spread into Arabia and over a lot of the Middle East at that time. I think they're the ones who, they didn't start it, but I think they're the ones that, finished it and finalized it to what we have today. I think before they came along, there was already something there in existence that was started, maybe by one man or maybe a couple of men, similar to someone like Muhammad, who used it for their own means and their own, personal benefits. And they started it as and it was a smaller type sort of scenario type thing. And then along came the Ottoman Empire, which was a lot bigger and a lot more powerful. And they then took whatever was there, expanded it, grew it, and into what we have today. Because it's just a control thing. It's just a way of control, and keeping the power and the wealth in a certain area and a certain place, and it's still used for that today. In Saudi Arabia, the crown prince is the ones who rule the country, and they're the ones who use Islam to keep the power and wealth. In Qatar, I'm not sure what they got in Qatar, whether they got a crown prince there or not, or some other form of ruler. But again, same reason. In Iran and Iraq, it's Ayatollah Khomeini, who are Shia. But again, they use it for the same reason, to keep the power, the control, and the wealth. And it's the same with all the Islamic State countries. Yeah, they just use it to keep the power and the control and the wealth, and to control the people.
Is it true that the Canaanites had the land first, not the Jews?
No, the Canaanites were the original people in the land, yes. But the Canaanites were also Abraham. Abraham was a Canaanite. He was from Canaan. He was a Canaan. And so, yeah. And there were no Jews there because they were Canaans. And obviously, then God made his covenant with Abraham, promising him the land and his seed the land for generations to come. And so then when Abraham then had his sons, which was Isaac, because Ishmael's not counted because he was a son of Muta, so he was booted out. But Isaac was the son, and he had Jacob and oh gosh, who was it? Jacob and oh come on. It's gone, it's gone. But anyway, out of those then came the 12 tribes, who were the 12 tribes of Israel, not including the Levi tribe, who would have Levitical priestly tribe, which made the 13 tribes. And so that was it then. And they were the ones who were promised the land, and they were the ones who then went there and took the land. And that includes obviously a lot more and a lot bigger than what it is today because it went up as far as Syria, southern Syria and southern Lebanon was all part of it. That was northern Israel, and southern Israel went down into where Egypt is today, parts of Egypt. So it was
Yeah.
twice the size of what it is today.
Yeah.
But yeah, Canaanites, and Canaan was originally where Abraham was from. He was originally from Canaan, but that's not far from where Israel is today either. So it's on those borders still. And then he was told, obviously, to move and emigrate to that land, which he did. And yeah,
Yeah. Why is it like I don't know, like why is Moses' grave in a mosque? Why are all
they've
our
got
most
they've got great yeah they got graves of all of them everywhere. They got a grave of Moses. They got a grave of Adam, which is 90 foot tall, because they believe that Adam was 90 foot tall. So and Adam, they've actually got there's about 6 or 7 graves of Adam. If you go to Saudi Arabia, I think they got a grave of Adam in Saudi Arabia. If you go to Sri Lanka, I think they got a grave of Adam in Sri Lanka. If you go to Afghanistan, I think there's a grave of Adam in Afghanistan. If you go to Iran, I think they got a grave of Adam in Iran. You can go to several countries in the Middle East and they will have a grave of Adam
yeah.
because he was 90 foot tall as well. And so the grave is 90 foot tall.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, it's amazing to see. It really is. Yeah, there's several of them all over the Middle East. And of course, they charge people money to go and visit those graves.
Of course it will.
Yes, yes. But yeah, I mean, again, they've got the graves as well, as you say, of Moses and Abraham and basically, everyone that they can think of, they've got a grave of them somewhere.
Yeah, but why are Muslims taking over our prophets' graves? Like, why is it all based in under mosques or in mosques? Well, we don't see rarely in churches. The only thing that's we go pilgrimage is like the Golgotha. I think it's the Church of Sculpture.
Yeah, I mean, they don't bury them, and that's why. So they don't
Yeah.
bury anybody. So, well, not prophets anyway, because in Islam, uh, although the prophets die, but they don't. In a way, they're not really dead. They're still alive within their grave, waiting for Allah to come and get them. Yeah, yeah. It's a mad situation. It really is. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's
They're taking it
even
too serious,
even the
aren't they?
graves of Muhammad and I'm not sure if it's Abu Bakr or Umar. It's one of the two that's buried next to him. Might be both of them. They're in Medina.
Yeah.
But
So
Aisha said, no, don't bury me next to Muhammad, because they were going to bury Aisha next to Muhammad as well. They left a space there and everything for it. But she said, no, whatever you do, do not bury me next door to Muhammad. That's how much she loved the man. She didn't want to be buried anywhere near him. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my days. Crazy.
Definitely is, yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Wonder what she thought of him when she was alive.
Well, she couldn't have thought that much of him. I mean, if you listen to the Shias, they will tell you that she's the one who actually poisoned him. Because there's several reports of him being poisoned. The first one is by a Jew lady at the Battle of Badr. I think it was the Battle of Badr. Might have been a different battle, but they won. They captured people, and they also unalived part of this Jew lady's family, and part of the Jew lady's family was still alive. And Muhammad had his wicked way with her in front of the part of the family that was still alive, and then he got her to cook him a meal, and she cooked him lamb, and apparently she poisoned it. But this was 3-4 years before he died. So the reports are that if she did poison it, then she only put a little bit in there, or he only tasted a little bit of it, because apparently he tasted a little bit of it, found it was tasting funny, so didn't eat any more of it. One of his companions ate more than he did, and he dropped down dead straight away. So they believed it probably was poisoned. And this, in the story of the hadith that it's in, Muhammad questioned her and she said, well, yes, I did. But if you're a prophet, you shouldn't have to worry, because your Allah would have saved you. And so they think that he only had such a little part of it that although it made him sick, it never killed him. But then, as I say, if you listen to the Shias, they say that Aisha, together with Fatima, planned and they re-poisoned him and did kill him. And they say it could be true, because when you look at Islam and the first 5 caliphs, all the first 5 caliphs, I think 4 of them were brutally unalived by other Muslims who wished to be the new leader. And after the first 5, all unalived quite quickly, no one else wanted to be the caliph anymore. And they haven't been able to find a caliph since. That's why they now have a crown prince in Saudi Arabia instead of a caliph. Because if they have a caliph, someone unalives him, wanting to be the next caliph. He only lasts like 3 or 4 months, and then there's a new caliph, because that's Islam for you. They all want to be the leader, you see,
Yeah.
and they unalive
So,
each other. I mean,
so
Uthman was unalived really brutally. He was unalived while he was in the mosque.
wow.
Uthman, yeah, he was in the mosque praying, and they unalived him in the mosque. And they unalived him so brutally that they pulled out his beard.
What?
They physically pulled the hair out of his beard. That's how brutally he was unalived. And that was after a few months.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And then he was the 3rd caliph. Then there was 2 more after him, and they quickly got unalived, and that was it. No one else wanted to be the caliph after the 5th one. They were like, no, 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 no. I don't. Do you want to be the caliph? No, no, I don't want to be the caliph. What about you? You want to be a caliph? No, no. And since then, none of them have wanted to be a caliph. That's what I say. So they've either got crown prince or Ayatollah Khomeini, Ayatollahs, crown princes, anything else other than a caliph.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, if you're a caliph, you don't last very long. Because the caliph, you see, the caliph is over the whole lot. So,
Yeah.
in Islam, anything that is Islamic, the caliph is over the whole lot. So if they had a caliph, he would be in charge of Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Syria, Lebanon, and all the other 15 Islamic State countries. You see, the caliph runs the whole lot. And so it doesn't matter if it's a Shia or a Sunni thing, the caliph runs it still, Shia or Sunni, you see. And obviously the caliph, if he's a Sunni caliph, then the Shia will get to him and unalive him. If he's a Shia caliph, the Sunni will get to him and unalive him. And that's why none of them want to be a caliph, because half of them are Shia, half of them are Sunni. And then you've got obviously mixtures of other ones as well, which also could come and get you if you're a caliph and you're not them. So like Salafi is another group, and obviously if you're a Sunni caliph, then and the Shia don't get you, then the Salafi could come and get you. You
Yeah.
see, and that's how it worked. That's why none of them want to be the caliph. There was a bit of dispute that that there's a chance that this idiot in Turkey, Erdogan, that he's trying to push to try to take it all over and become the next caliph. But basically, whoever does try to do that would be an idiot. That they wouldn't last long, because
No.
they will get unalived, basically. The
Yeah.
Muslims will unalive them pretty quickly.
Yeah. They're like animals to each other, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they are. Yeah, that's what I say. And that's the only reason at the moment why the Middle East is how it is, and they've
Yeah.
been able to operate how they are at the moment in the Middle East, with Saudi Arabia obviously not attacking Iran, Iran and Iraq not attacking Saudi Arabia, because Iran, Iraq is Shia, Saudi Arabia is Sunni. I think Qatar is Shia, you see. So they're still all different ones, but they're surviving by not attacking each other because they've got their own independent leaders in each one. And each independent is responsible for their own particular area, you see. But as I say, if they were to do it properly, others, because that's not the way it's supposed to be. The way it's supposed to be is they are supposed to have one overall ruler and one overall leader. And if they did that, it would collapse overnight, as I say, because the overall leader and overall ruler would keep getting unalived all the time. So it couldn't work that way, But as I say, that's the way it is supposed to work. And again, it all comes back to Muhammad. Muhammad's fault. Because obviously before Muhammad got unalived, he should have named his successor, and he didn't.
No.
Yeah. But even if he had done, that's what I say, it still wouldn't have worked, because that's when the split between the Shia and the Sunni came anyway. When Muhammad was alive, they were together still. There was no split. There was no Shia or Sunni. But as soon as Muhammad went, that was it. That's when the big split came, and Shia and Sunni started to hate each other, and they have ever since. And that's what I say is, if eventually there will come a time when Iran and Iraq will attack Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
But whether there'll still be a world here then when that does happen or not, I doubt it, because that would only happen obviously when the whole world was Islamic. once the whole world became Islamic, which is their aim, eventually, the Shia and Sunni are going to have to sort it out to see which one is, in control of the world. Because
Yeah.
obviously, when the whole world is Islamic, there will need to be one overall rule. You can't have, independent rulers still in every country. It won't work. So, yeah, there's still going to be, a huge, huge problem for Islam to sort out when they get their wish and they take over world domination. A huge problem that they won't be able to sort out.
Yeah, but this is the thing with Muslims, like how they treat the environment in the Middle East is like so disgusting. Like like rubbish everywhere. I've even seen photos of like the streets and the towns in Middle East, in Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Palestine. It's not clean. I'm telling you, it's they're never clean. They never want to be cleaned. Only a few Muslims that are clean. The majority of Islam is not clean.
No,
My town turned into Islamic, I'd say. There's more Muslims than Christians and white people. And it's a filth, honestly. They're opening kebab shops, barber shops, takeaways, filth on the street, rubbish
mm,
everywhere.
mm, mm,
Cars speeding up and down the street, doing 30 or 40 miles per hour. It's
mm,
crazy.
mm,
It's not
mm,
English no more. It's
no,
it's
no,
English.
no. No, I mean, that'll be the least of the problems, as I say, when the whole world is Islamic. It's as I say, it, they'll destroy themselves basically. They'll have to destroy themselves to try to, as I say, sort out whether it's going to be Shia who's the whole world Islamic, or whether it's going to be Sunni who's the whole world Islamic. And as I say, it's come down to the case where they just destroy the whole world, because obviously, as they take over countries like UK and America and Germany and then they'll start having nuclear weapons.
Yeah,
And of
yeah.
course, the Arabs aren't going to worry. They'll fire those nuclear weapons here, there, and everywhere. They won't care. And there goes
God.
the world. The world will be
I don't think
fighting for
Russia will be
everyone.
Islamic.
So, they are going to end up destroying the whole world without a doubt. It's going to happen.
I don't think Russia
It's
will
just a
be
question of when.
Islamic.
That's all.
I don't think Russia will be Islamic. They're not having none of it
No,
in Russia.
it's yeah, no. Russia. That's what I say. The problem is Russia is helping Islam to destroy the West, because Russia wants the end of the West the same as Islam does. But what Russia doesn't realize is once the West has been destroyed, then Islam will turn on Russia. And that's
Yeah,
what I say. When they've got the weapons, which they will have, they won't care about firing 5 or 6 nukes at Russia to get rid of them. They will do it.
yeah,
And of course, the Russians are so nutty, they'll fire their 20, 30 nukes back. And that's
yeah.
what I say. That'll be the end of the world.
What
So,
about China?
yeah, it's going to come to it. That's what I say. It will come to it. It's just a
What about
question of when,
what
basically.
about China? China, like they put
Well,
Muslims in
China, yeah. Well, I
concentration
mean,
camps.
I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, they're there as well. They will be involved in it as well. So yeah, but yeah, as I say, it's just basically everyone with any sort of knowledge of these can quite clearly see that this is where mankind is heading. Mankind is clearly heading towards annihilating itself.
Yeah,
And we are getting there. As I say, it's just a question of when. That's all it is now. Is a question of how long before it finally gets to that stage. As I say, I believe it's 100 years or less. That's what I believe. It will be 100 years or less. And as I say, it just needs, as I say, for Islam to dominate more of the world than it currently does. At the moment, it dominates the Middle East. Once they've taken Europe, France, Spain, Germany, Holland, Belgium, and then they've taken the UK, and then they're on their way to taking the USA, then that will be it. Then
Yeah.
that will be it. That will be it. That will be when the nukes start flying. That will be when Russia and China get involved. And as I say, bye bye world. There won't be any more world after that. It
Yeah.
will be gone.
Scary.
And it will all be our fault. That's what I say. At the end of the day, it will all be our fault, man's fault, because we allowed it to happen. It's in our power if we wish it. That we can stop this now. Still, it hasn't gone far enough yet that it can't be stopped.
Yeah.
But the current path that we're currently on is a path to total destruction for the whole world.
Immigration doesn't help at all.
Well, no, that's it. Open borders and immigration that was the start of it. I mean, open borders, Europe, open borders and immigration. That was the biggest mistake ever in the whole wide world. Because that's what I say. Islam have wanted world domination since it started 1400 years ago. And it hasn't stopped for that wish, and it won't stop for that wish, because that's what the book promotes. The book promotes the whole world must be Islamic. And open borders, as I say, that just played straight into their hands for that. Right into their hands. And as I say, that is the start of the destruction, is allowing, I'd say at least 70%, just 70% of the world to be Islamic. And that's the start of the destruction of the whole world. And we're not far away from that already. We ain't far away from that already. As I say, another 10, 15 years and we'll be at that stage.
Crazy.
It
Absolutely
is crazy, yeah. It is crazy, and it's frightening as well. But I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime. I think, before it gets to a stage where, the nukes are fired and it's the destruction of the whole world, as I say, I think that's still another 60, 70, 80 odd years still at least, and even then, there's still going to be little pockets of human life here and there still. But it won't last much long. That's the trouble. With the state and the destruction of the world, the little pockets of human life that are left won't last very long at all. So, yeah, I think, you say, 60, 70 odd years away, and then maybe 100 years away until the total annihilation of all human life.
Do you think they will target white people?
Eh?
Do you think Muslims will target white people?
Yeah, of course it will. It's not about colour with Islam. It doesn't matter whether you're white, brown, pink, yellow, or green. All it matters is whether you're a Muslim or not. If you're not a Muslim, then that's it. They will unalive you.
What? Just anywhere on the street?
Well, yeah, not anywhere, no, but in countries where they have the majority. When they have the majority, when it's sort of 60 to 70% Muslim, and then the other percentage is 30 to 40% non-Muslim, then they will go along and they will either force you to be a Muslim or unalive you.
Is that what happened in Liverpool?
Or turn you into their slave. That's your three choices.
Is
I
that
mean,
what happened
obviously,
in Liverpool?
while there's still countries that are non-Muslim, you do also have the choice to flee if you can manage to escape and go to a country that's still not non-Muslim. So, for instance, if you're in the UK and you can manage to flee and escape to the USA, then you can do that. But all you're doing is putting off the inevitable, because obviously eventually the USA will become Muslim as well, and you'll have the same problem there that you had in the UK. Once they become the majority, They don't give you, as I say, they give you the choice, but the choice they give you is not really a choice. The only choice you have is to become a Muslim. That's it. If you don't become a Muslim, there is no choice. It's either death or you become their slave. And no one
Scary.
really wants to live as a slave. So, like I say, the only other option is death. And
Is
it's
that
not
what
really
happened
an option, is it? So, and that's how they operate in every single country. That's how every single country that is currently Islamic was turned Islamic, exactly the same way. They went into the country, they were the minority, they waited and waited and waited until they become the majority, and then they took the country by force.
Wow.
And they will do
Wow.
it in every single country that they are currently in today. So that includes France, that includes Germany, that includes Holland, that includes Belgium, that includes the UK, and it includes the USA. And once that happens, bye bye world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like
definitely.
little minions.
Well, I mean, even if it isn't bye well, I don't want to be living in it anymore. When all you've got
Yeah.
is either an Islamic country to live in, or a Russian country, or China. You know, that's your three choices. I don't want to. I don't want to live in a world that's the only three choices to live in. No way.
Yeah.
Like I say, I don't think that will last much longer.
Do you think Israel will fall to
Oh
Islam?
yeah, 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 yeah. Of course, yeah.
Do
That would
you
be the
think God
first
will
thing.
protect Israel?
No, 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 no. He won't. It says it in the Bible as well. In the Bible, if you read the Bible, it's quite clear. At the moment, when Jesus comes back on his holy hill and on his holy mountain, which is the Temple Mount, will be the Antichrist pretending to be God. So we already have the Dome of the Rock and the Alaska Mosque on the Temple Mount, with Allah, Satan, the Antichrist, pretending to be God. So that's already there. The next part that it tells you is that the end times and the desolation of the world will begin when his holy mountain is completely surrounded by the Antichrist and his forces. And at the moment, the only thing that's stopping that complete surrounding of the Temple Mount is Israel. But the Bible says, when the desolation starts and the end time starts, that Temple Mount will be completely surrounded by the Antichrist and the devil, which includes Israel. Israel will become an Islamic state. When it does, it's complete. The Temple Mount's completely surrounded. The Antichrist is sitting on the Temple Mount, pretending to be God, Allah. That will be the start of the end times. So when Israel
Oh, and
falls,
I
which
would
it
say,
will do, when it falls, which it will do, less than 40, 50 years, I'd say, then to the end of the world.
wow,
Mhm.
scary. You
It is
know,
scary, yeah. It is scary. It is very scary. And that's what I say, it is going to happen. I mean, you can, as say, you can already see it's happening. It's already started to happen, you know, and it's only a matter of time. That's what I say. It's just a matter of when, not if. Now, all it is just a matter of when. And as I say, I think that's going to be, I think Israel will fall when Europe and the UK falls to Islam. When Europe and the UK falls to Islam, then I think Israel is also going to fall. I
yeah.
think they'll take Israel at the same point and the same time. And then what USA's response is going to be, who knows? All depends, obviously, who's in power. if there's someone like Donald Trump in power, maybe he might start firing nukes then at Europe, the UK,
Yeah.
and the rest. Who knows? We don't know. As I say, we don't know. I personally think that it won't be. I personally think that like Biden and Camilla will be in charge of the USA, and they won't do anything. That they will then eventually fall as well in another 20 or 30 years' time. And then, of course, when they fall, then that's it. There won't be long left after that. Because, as I say, China and Russia will then realise they're in big trouble. And then, yeah, then it'll be lots of big explosions.
Yeah, Russia is already siding with Iran and the BRICS, something called the
Yeah, well,
BRICS.
Russia. That's what I say. Russia. As I say, they're not at the moment. Russia's not interested in Islam. Russia's always wanted the same thing: the destruction of the West. It's always wanted that. It wants the destruction of the USA. That's what Russia wants. It wants to destroy USA. Always has done.
Do you think?
And part of that destruction began with woke, bringing in the woke and the woke culture, because that again plays straight into the hands of Russia and Islam. The more people that stand up, and say, "Oh yeah, you can't spread this hate," and "Oh, you can't be saying these things, and you can't," everyone should love one another, that they're more dangerous than the actual enemy, because they don't even
Yeah,
realise they're actually helping the enemy to achieve what they want,
yeah,
which is the total, overthrow of the whole world, to turn it into what they want and make it into what they want. And they also don't realise that, of course, once they do take it over, all those ones that are now on their side and saying, "Oh yeah, don't we should all love one another, and we should all kiss one another," they're going to be unalived as well.
So Muslim countries want Russia to take over Ukraine and Europe? Because Arab countries want Russia to take over Ukraine, because
No,
that's the
not
start
really.
of
I
taking
mean,
over
no,
Europe.
no, not really. That's what I say. What Muslims want is they will want to take over Russia as well eventually. They'll want to take Russia over and China as well. But they don't want to
Because I
take
thought
over.
Russia.
They don't want to take Russia and China over as much as they want to take over Europe, the UK, and the USA. They badly,
I thought.
badly, badly want more than anything in the whole wide world to take the UK and the USA and Europe. That's what they want. That's what
I
they
thought
want to
Russia
start
wants
with.
it.
Once they've done that, then they can concentrate on either taking over Russia and China, or, as I said, they won't care. They'll be quite happy just to dump a couple of hundred nuclear weapons on both of them and blow them off the face of the earth,
Yeah.
which they'll be able to do because obviously they'll have all that weaponry in USA and the UK and Germany and France and the other countries that they've taken over.
I
But of
thought Russia
course,
wants to
whether Russia and China at that stage realise what a mistake they've made and they start firing first or not, or they start to fire back before they get to, who knows? Who knows? That's what I say. As far as I'm concerned, it's at that point that the world ends. That's the point where the world ends.
I thought Russia wants to take all over Europe.
Oh, Russia, yeah, well, Russia do, yeah, of course they do. Russia would like to take over Europe as well, of course they do. But predominantly, they want exactly what at the moment Islam wants, which is the
Yeah.
destruction of the USA and the UK. That's the main goal. Europe is not a threat to them. Europe is not a threat to them. France, Germany, all that lot, they're not no threat to Russia or Islam because they're on the doorstep, and Islam and Russia both know they could take those any day they wanted to.
Yeah.
And none of them could stop them because they're so close to one another. The biggest dangers to both of them is the USA and the UK. And that is what they need to take, and that's what they need to control. And it's Islam, that's what I say, who's in the prime position to do that and take those over and control those. And Russia is helping them to do that secretly behind the scenes. But that's what I say. Russia thinks that, that they'll be okay anyway. They won't get, hurt by Islam if they take, but they don't understand. They don't understand the enemy that they're dealing with.
Yeah. It's not us. It's
No, no,
Islam.
no, no. Well, they're saying it's not an enemy that you want to do deals with. Lots of people, even during the war, the Muslims sided with the man in the war because he was unaliving the Jews. But again, he didn't understand or realize what he was doing. He thought he was siding with a nice, peaceful, lovely bunch who he could do deals and he would be friends with forever. It doesn't work that way in Islam. That's the trouble. That's the problem with Islam. They will be your best friend in the whole wide world if you will help them achieve their aim. As soon as you have helped them achieve their aim, you ain't no longer their friend. And you'll find that out pretty quickly. So, like, for instance, me now, I could help the Muslims take the USA. And while I'm doing that, I would be their best friend. They would love me, like,
Yeah.
better than Allah and better than Muhammad. But as soon
Yeah.
as they took the USA, they would rip me to pieces. They would rip me to pieces.
Yeah.
And that's the same what they will do with Russia. As soon as
Yeah.
they take the USA and the UK, and as I say, they'll take France, Germany, Belgium, Holland, and Austria and Switzerland at the same time. Watch what happens to Russia and China after that.
What about Australia? Australia has barely any Muslims.
Yeah, no, but that'll be taken as well. But they're not really interested in Australia, as I say again, because it's only an island. But there are loads over there, and that's what I say. I believe, because what happened 1,000 years ago when they tried to do it country by country, they tried taking one country at a time, and they got as far as France, and then they were pushed back by the Christian Crusaders.
Yeah.
And so what I believe is this time they're just waiting until they're in a position in every single country, including America, where they are close to taking over all of them at the same time. And when they're in that position where they're ready, I mean, they're already in that position in France. They're already in that position in the UK. They're already in that position
Yeah.
in Belgium and Germany and Holland. But they're just waiting. They're just waiting and biding their time until they get more in the States. When they get more and more in the States, so there's 30 or 40% Muslim in the States, then I think they'll take Europe and the
Yeah.
UK.
How do you think they'll
Because
do it? By going to the government and try
no,
killing the
just by
government?
force. Just by force. Exactly as I just told you, by
What
force.
What about
By force.
military?
There will be gangs and gangs and gangs of Muslims who will roam the streets and they will unalive non-Muslims.
What
They
about
will
our
unalive
military?
non-Muslims. They will grape non-Muslims, and they will give certain people who are obviously, not violent and these, these peace-loving ones who are,
Yeah.
oh, kissy kissy everybody, love everybody,
The
no,
left
all
ones,
those ones,
lefties. Yeah.
they will get the choice.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
either become a Muslim or you be half slave. All the ones who will fight back, like myself, and they will be unalived. will be unalived, will be taken out of the picture. No choice. But the ones who are, as I say, lovey, oh yeah, we love everybody. Look at the lovely,
Yeah.
pretty flowers. They'll be given the choice. Do you want to be a Muslim or do you want to be our slaves?
They'll soon know, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, of course. Oh yeah, don't worry. They'll soon find out. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
They'll soon find out.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
But
Yes.
what about our military? We got our own military. Like our
Yeah, I
military
mean,
looks
again,
just
it'll be too late at that stage. It'll be too late at that stage. And I don't think, because the military is controlled by the government is not going to care by that stage. All the government is going to care about is keeping the control and the power. They don't care how they keep that control and power. If UK needs to become an Islamic state under Sharia law for them to keep the control and power, they will allow the UK to become an Islamic state under Sharia
oh
law. They don't care. They don't care. It won't bother
yeah.
them one little tiny bit. Not
What
one
about
small
police
tiny
officers?
bit will it bother them, as long as they keep the power and control, which they still will, because they will allow the Muslims to take over. They will allow the UK to become Sharia.
Labour wants it.
Oh, they would. They will. That's what I say. Look, it doesn't matter what government is in power, whether it be Labour, whether it be Conservative, whatever, Lib Dem, won't matter.
Reform.
Whatever power is in, whatever one is in power, they will still allow it. They don't care. They don't care. They won't
Would
care about that.
would they
They just
target
care
our
about
police
keeping the
officers?
control and the power. And they
Would
can
they
still keep the control and power. Doesn't matter what system is running. Whether you run a communism system, whether you run an Islamic system, or whether you run a democracy. As long as you keep the power and the wealth, they don't care whether it's a democracy, communism, or Islamic. They're not bothered. They're not interested. They couldn't give two farts. So they're not interested
yeah.
one little bit,
Yeah.
mate. Seriously, they're not interested. That's what I say. All they're interested in is keeping the power and the control, and trying to do it as smoothly and without as much problem, and trouble as possible. And under an Islamic system, the government has even less to worry about. It has less problems. It has less worries, because you don't need a huge police force like the UK has now. You don't need thousands and thousands of police to do Sharia. You don't need thousands and thousands of prisons with thousands and thousands of people locked up inside those prisons in Sharia. It's not needed. It's not needed, because most of the crimes that people are in prison for are legal in Islam. I mean, child fornication, it's legal. 30% of the prisoners in prison are in there because of child fornication.
No.
Adultery. Prisoners are in prison because of adultery. It's legal. Fraud. There's no such thing as fraud in Islam. You can't be done for fraud in Islam. Because, say, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. No
No.
one gets caught for fraud in Islam. Stealing. If you get caught stealing, you get body parts chopped off. You don't go to prison. Doesn't matter what you've stolen. Doesn't matter who you hurt while you're trying to steal that thing. If you get caught, you get your leg and your hand chopped off. You don't go to prison. There's no lengthy court case. It's not like our system where if you steal something, it takes months and months and months going to court. And then you end up getting your sentence, which could be a 6-month custodial. So then you're locked up and that costs even more money. No, there's none of that in Sharia. You just get your leg and your hand chopped off within weeks of getting caught. No lengthy court case. No huge amount of money spent. They just need a sharp axe.
Yeah.
And so from a government point of view, it's a lot cheaper, and a lot more effort involved in running a country under Islamic law and Sharia law. A lot less cost and a lot less trouble for them. They don't have to do hardly anything. Hardly anything at all do they have to do. So I say the biggest crime in Sharia is a woman walking down the street with no clothes on. That's one of the biggest crimes in Sharia. A woman walking down the street without her black bin bag. That's true. That's I suppose. So courts are not needed, police are not needed, probation service is not needed, social services are not needed. You don't need none of that. Not a pet, not none of that. I mean, straight away, the UK has saved billions and billions and billions in taxes and money just on probation, social services, police, and the courts. Because you don't need any of it. It's not necessary.
No.
That's what I say. Very,
No.
very few of the crimes are crimes anyway. I mean, even like you unalive someone, literally all you have to do is prove that the person you unalived blasphemed Muhammad or blasphemed Allah or destroyed the Quran. Once you've proved that, you haven't committed any crime because you had the right to unalive them for blaspheming the Prophet, blaspheming Allah, or destroying the Quran. So if you want to unalive someone in Islam, you go along, you unalive them, and then before you phone the police up to come, you rip a Quran up and leave the ripped up Quran by their body. And then when the police arrive, you just say, "Oh yeah, I unalived him, officer. Look what he did to the Quran." And that's it. You let go. There's no charge. So, in Islam, it's virtually impossible in Islam to get accused of a crime. As I say, the most easiest crimes to get accused of are for women, and that is for adultery. They get accused for adultery very easily in Islam. They just need to get pregnant, and the husband just needs to say, "It's not my baby," and that's it. They're accused of adultery, stoned to death. Punishment is the same, stoned to death. And again, no lengthy court case. Soon as they've been proven they've caused adultery, stoned to death. And stealing, and as I say again, that's exactly the same punishment. Chopped off body parts, no lengthy court case. And for a woman to be accused of, as I say, walking along without her burqa or a guardian. And again, even that's not a crime. All that will happen is a man, if she sees the woman walking along without her bin bag and without her guardian, they can grab hold of her, they can grape her, and then they can sell her as a slave. No court case, no crime. Yeah. So, as I say, police aren't really needed. As I say, the only time you need the police is when they carry out a crime, and that is always done by the ISIS or the Al Qaeda or the Brotherhood of Islam, whichever one is the controlling terrorist of that particular country. So a court will pass a sentence, but as I say, it's always the same. If it's stealing, it's chop off the hand and the foot, and that will be carried out, as I say, by the controlling ISIS, Al Qaeda, or Brotherhood of Islam publicly. They take you out into the middle of the town centre, sit you down and hold you down and lob off your body parts in front of everybody.
Wow.
Yep.
That's
and it's
crazy.
always the same, that's what I say. And so stealing is the only really main charge that you can get accused of, and women caught for adultery, stoning for adultery is the punishment. And again, carried out, well, the stoning is actually carried out by all members of the town or village. But the ISIS and the Al Qaedas and the Brotherhood of Islam are the ones that make sure it's carried out. So they take the woman, they dig a hole waist deep, they put the woman in the hole, fill it in so she's buried waist deep, and then they have already selected stones that are the right shape and the right size. They can't be too big that they cause instant damage, and they can't be too small that they cause no damage. They have to be the exact right size. And then usually the family of the woman begin to throw the first stones. So her husband and her children, and then everyone else can join in.
That's shocking.
Yep, I know it is, but that's Sharia. That's Sharia for you. And it's from Allah. So no one can argue with it. It's from Allah.
So
It's
what
not
about that?
man-made.
So what about that guy who stabbed that 3 children in Liverpool? Was he a Muslim?
Yes.
Was
You
it?
mean you mean in Southport?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
he was
yeah,
an
yeah.
immigrant.
Yeah. No, he was a Muslim. Yeah. He was a Muslim. They're taught to do that with the children. They're taught to unalive the children. If they can't get to the children, unalive the adults. But if you can't get to the adults, get the children and unalive the children. Because as long as it's still non-believers, then you're killing off the enemy. And that's the aim. Kill off the enemy as quickly as possible. That way you become the majority. That way you can take over even quicker. And obviously, if you're killing off the children, then you're killing off even more of the enemy, because they would grow up to have their own children, who would then grow up to have their own children, all would be non-believers. So if you unalive them as they are children, you've unalived 2 or 3 generations of unbelievers. And they're taught to do that. And it's also, again, from the Quran, as I say, Surah 9. One of my topics for tonight, Surah 9, 111. If you go out and unalive an unbeliever, even if you don't unalive yourself, so like the people who unalived Lee Rigby, they unalived an unbeliever, but they're still alive in prison. The person who went into Manchester Arena or on the London Underground, they all got unalived at the same time. So if you do that and you get unalived at the same time, you go straight to paradise. No waiting about, no mucking about, no judging or nothing like that. You go straight there and you get over 72 virgins immediately. No mucking about,
Apparently,
straight
it was
there.
a Christian.
And if you're not unalived immediately, like the Lee Rigby unalivers, they're in prison. As soon as they do get unalived, regardless of whatever else they do from now till then, they can do all of the most disgusting things in the whole wide world from now till then. They can grape, they can unalive, they can steal, they can rob, they can lie, they can cheat. It doesn't matter. Because they unalive Lee Rigby, as soon as they do get unalived, they will go straight to paradise.
Apparently, the guy who stabbed the 3 children is a Christian, not a Muslim.
No, he wasn't a Christian. He was not a Christian, my friend. Don't
So why are
believe
they
the
using
lies.
Christians?
Don't believe the lies, my friend. That man
Why are
was
they using
definitely. I'll tell you why. First of all, there's, as I've already explained to you, there is only one cult that teaches their followers to do what he did, and that's Islam. Secondly, the shutdown on the information. Okay, the you're cutting up. The government and the police refused to give any information on the case. What was their excuse for not giving out any information? Because he was too young. He was 17. He was 2-3 weeks away from his 18th birthday. So the excuse they gave because he was too young was rubbish. He wasn't too young. They could have still given out the information. They didn't. Even now, they've still only released part of the information that they found terrorist manuals in his house and terrorist stuff in his house. They still haven't given out the full information. That man was a Muslim. That man shouted Allahu Akbar as he did it. People who were there know that. They've been silenced.
Yeah.
Because the government don't want you to know the truth, that these Muslims are doing this and they continue to do it. Over the past 20 years, there have been many, many attacks in the UK. Manchester Arena, Lockerbie, London Underground, Westminster Bridge, Westminster Borough Market, Lee Rigby, those schoolgirls. I could go on and on with all of them, you know, there's so many of them. Every single one of them is an Islamic terror attack. Every one of them. And they won't stop. They will continue. But guess what? The authorities won't want you to know. That's why every time it does happen, they tell you it's mental health issues. The person has got mental health issues. All of a sudden, we've got 20,000 people in the UK and they've all got mental health issues. Yeah, and I know what the mental health issue is. Following Allahu Akbar and the Quran. That's their mental health issue. But like I say, they won't want to tell you because they know if it gets out now, there's not, you know, there's less Muslims than there are, you know, the majority is not Muslims. It's Christians, Jews, atheists, other religions. And they know if the truth comes out and everyone understands and realizes the Muslims are going around and slaughtering us as and when they want to, they know that, you know, it will be civil war and they won't be able to control it. They will lose the control. They will lose the power, which is all they're interested in. And as I say, they don't care. They don't care if eventually we're all slaughtered and it turns into an Islamic state, as long as they keep the control and power. They don't give a top.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely he was a Muslim. And I knew straight away he was. That's what I say. I knew straight away. As soon as I heard that he'd attacked the young children, you know, innocent children with a knife, I knew straight away that's a Muslim. Because only a Muslim does that. Other than, of course, a complete and utter psychopath, of course. Yeah, I agree with you. A complete and utter psychopath also does that. But a complete and utter psychopath shows signs of being a complete and utter psychopath before they reach the age of 18. And he was the age of 18. So if it had been the age of 9 or 10, say, and he'd done it, then I would have still had doubts. Okay, yeah, maybe he might not have been a Muslim. Maybe he was a raging loony psychopath. But because he was the age of 18, or close to it, as I say, and they'd given that bit of information out, and I knew that, I knew, no, this guy ain't no raging loony psychopath, because if he is, they would have known about it.
Yeah.
And he would have been locked up and he wouldn't have been able to do it. But the fact that he was 18 and still walking around proves that he wasn't a raging loony psychopath. And that only leaves one last option. He was a Muslim, because only Muslims do that. No other religion or cult does that. Teaches people to go into where little children are and hack them to pieces. Only Muslims.
We need God. We need Jesus. and needs
Well, definitely, yes. I mean, definitely the UK. I mean, that would be the one thing that would save it. If everyone in the UK who was not Muslim turned to Jesus Christ and became a Christian, that would save the UK. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen.
Do you think this is the start of Revelations, the Book of Revelations?
That will be, well, yeah, when Jerusalem falls, yeah, when Israel falls, and they annihilate everyone in Israel, yeah, that's the start of it. That's what I say. That's the start of the desolation period, and
Yeah.
then there's only, well, I'd say less than 20 or 30 years left after that. But like I say, I hope because Donald Trump as well is in power now.
Yeah.
I hope at least Israel's going to be safe for at least another 20 or 30 years yet, which then still gives us about 100 years, which is my prediction. But as I say, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah,
Who
exactly. Who knows?
knows?
Well, I do. That's what I say. I know. Eventually, the Muzzies are going to get their way, and they are going to take over the majority of it. They will overthrow Israel and get rid of Israel as well, which is their biggest wish. And as I say, that's the start then. That's the start of the total destruction of the world when they do that. They don't realise it, obviously. All the Muzzies that are going to, bring it about, none of them even understand what they're doing or the destruction that they are causing. They think they're doing a good thing, for Allahu Akbar. They don't understand they're destroying the whole world for everybody, even themselves. But there you go. There you go. What can we do?
So, do you think our kids will be slaughtered in the name of Allah?
Yes, yes,
Even babies?
yes, yes. There are many hadiths. I could give 30, 40, 50 different hadiths that state as long as the children are of them, in other words, as long as the children are of the enemy, you are allowed to unalive them. Now, of course, you have the choice. You don't have to unalive them, of course. If they're female, you can choose to keep the females alive and use them for your own wicked pleasure. But any time that you wish to unalive them, you are allowed to do so. And of course, there are a hell of a lot of gays in Islam. It's
Yeah.
one of it's one of the gayest things I've ever seen. Islam. It promotes that sort of behaviour from an early age, and so of course, if they're that way inclined and then they catch a little boy, of course they can keep the little boy alive for themselves. So yeah,
Don't they have gay
obviously.
strip clubs?
Uh,
Do they have gay strip clubs? Gay
um,
bars?
well, things like that would be well underground, but yeah, but they have um, clubs where women dance and twerk and lap dance, but they're in full burqas. So they're wearing the bin bag, but they're twerking and doing lap dances in the bin bag. And the men are there throwing money at them while they
Wait,
do this. Yeah,
really?
seriously. They
Are
are
they
they
not
are
allowed to take the bin
twerking
bag
and they
off?
are lap dancing and the women will, grind and bump up against another women and they're all in their black bin bags and the men are there chucking the money at them while they're doing it.
Wow.
There's thousands of videos on. If you go on YouTube, you can pull up thousands of videos where they have that. Those clubs are far and lots and lots of them in Saudi Arabia and other Islamic countries where those clubs are huge, huge. Many clubs like that where women do those prerogative dances, and shaking it all about and down on all fours and bumping and grinding with the floor. But they're in full bin bags. It's hilarious to watch. It really is. It's the most funniest thing you've ever seen. Really is.
Yeah.
Trying to see a bin bag be sexy, and do a sexy dance is really is hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, crazy.
Yeah, it is a crazy thing. Crazy. Yes.
Wait, so are they not allowed to take the bin bags off?
No. They can't. If they take the bin bag off, they can be graped.
Oh,
As soon as you remove the bin bag, you can be graped, and it's not the man's fault. The man who grapes you, it's not his fault. It's your fault because you didn't have your bin bag on.
yeah.
That's why that's another charge where you can never find a charge of grape in an Islamic country under Sharia because it doesn't exist. Literally, a man can grab you and grape you and just say, "Well, she wasn't wearing a bin bag," and that's it. There's no charge.
Yeah.
He's not done anything wrong because you weren't wearing your bin bag or your guardian. There have been cases where women have had their bin bag on, they've still been graped because they didn't have their guardian. They were out on their own without their guardian. And there was still no charge against the grapist because they didn't have their guardian. So if they go out with their bin bag on, but without their guardian, they can still be grabbed, graped, and it will be their fault.
Yeah.
So that's why a government, that's what I say, when they understand what is involved, they'll want Sharia law. After being a Western government with democracy, where they have to run everything, where they have to spend thousands and thousands of pounds, on great cases and putting people in prison for grape for years, and spending thousands and thousands of pounds looking after them in those prisons, they'll be more than happy to have Sharia law where grape doesn't exist.
Yeah.
well, where it exists, but it's not their problem anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, the British government definitely the British government, and that's what I say personally. I think as well, the USA. There's a lot of as I say, the Democrats like Biden and Kamala Harris and Obama. Anyway, Obama was a Shia Muslim anyway. So
Really?
yeah, oh yeah, didn't you know Obama was a Shia Muslim? Barack Obama is a Shia Muslim. That's
That's
why he gave
crazy.
billions to Iran and Iraq when he was in power. He gave billions to them. He's a Shia
That's
Muslim, mate.
crazy.
Yeah, Barack Obama is a hidden Shia Muslim. No one knows, as I say, because he hid it. He didn't obviously want, he knew if everyone in America knew he was a Shia Muslim, he wouldn't have got into power. They wouldn't have voted him in. He knew the only reason why they were going to vote him in is because he was black. But he knew, that's what I say, if they knew he was a Shia Muslim, they wouldn't have bothered voting him in. So he kept it secret. But yeah, he's a Shia Muslim, mate. Barack Obama always has been. And he gave thousands to billions and billions and billions to Iran and Iraq. Thousands and billions to them. And that's what I say, they could have done, whatever they wanted, and he wouldn't have done nothing to them. He wouldn't have done
No.
nothing to Iran or Iraq. But likewise, Iran and Iraq wouldn't have bothered doing anything to America either, because he was in power, and they knew he was on their side. They knew he was one of them. So, I mean, I was surprised that Saudi Arabia and countries like that didn't, make more of a fuss about it because they were Sunni. But then, maybe obviously they were looking at the bigger picture of getting it turned into an Islamic state. But yeah, Barack Obama was a Shia Muslim. Yeah, and he's still pulling the strings as well. He's the one who got Biden elected. He's the one who nearly got Kamala Harris elected. But her biggest mistake was having a go at Jesus Christ. If she hadn't had a go at Jesus Christ at one of her laddies, I think she might have won it. That was what lost it for her. She attacked Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But it was lucky, that's what I say, because otherwise Obama would have still been in control, and he's a Shia Muslim, mate. He's a Shia Muslim. As I say, you can't trust them. You cannot trust them, mate. They will lie to everybody. They will lie to everybody, mate, to promote this filth and this disgusting nastiness. They will lie to everybody, even their own family. They ain't got no problems with lying, mate. Lying is part and parcel of Islam. It's one of the first things they learn.
Did you hear about what Starmer said about like far right? They're calling us far right for standing up.
Yeah. Well, again, that's all from Muslims. All that, all the far right and Nazis and fascism and racist. That's all from Muslims. That's a normal label they would chuck at anybody who tries to, stand up to them and tries to stop them and tries to make everyone aware of what's going on. You will be called a fascist. You will be called a racist. You will be called an Islamophobe. You will be called a far right. You will be labelled with all of these labels, and none of them are true. It's all a lie. They don't care. As long as they can get everybody to, if not shut you down and stop you, at least turn against you and make you out to be the bad person. That's their only aim then. And they've done it all the time. They sort of say they've done it all the time. Even the wars, when they're fighting the wars, they do the same thing. Israel and Gaza. Look at Israel and Gaza. They went and attacked Israel, and then they went and hid in all the hospitals and the schools, knowing that when Israel come to find them in the hospitals and the schools, Israel would have no choice but to attack and blow up the hospitals and schools.
Yeah.
And then they start booing then, oh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, look what they're doing. They're blowing up all the hospitals and schools and killing all the innocent people. No, they're not. They're attacking the terrorists who attacked them, who are hiding in the hospitals and schools.
Yeah.
But that's what they do. And they say they're so good at it. They're so good at it. They are so good at doing it. Even to the point of, let's say some of the hostages, yeah? They took some of the hostages, like, over 200. Some of those hostages would have been children. What they would do is when Israel comes to get them, if they get close to them, is they will unalive the children themselves. Yeah, the hostages they took. They will unalive them, usually with gory wounds that can be seen. And then they will leave their bodies and take photographs of their bodies and claim they are Palestinian people who have been killed by Israeli soldiers.
Yeah.
And they're not. They're hostages that they killed. They took the hostages, they unalived them, and then they make it look, that's what I say, like it was a Palestinian innocent child that an Israeli soldier came across and just, shot them, unalived them willy-nilly. And it's all a lie. It's all a big lie, just to get the rest of the world on their side. And they do it all the time. They do it all the time. They've been doing it for years. So they've been doing it for 1400 years. So they're masters at it. They're masters at it. And that's what they do the same thing in, if they, in the UK. If they needed to, if the army was called out, which I don't think it ever will be, they'll attack and then they'll go and hide in hospitals and schools.
So, do you know when it came to the
And
protests?
mosques. Oh yeah, mosques as well. They hide in mosques as well.
Yeah.
Because that's what I say, they know. If they get blown up, and they get unalived, they've still got a good, story to put out to the rest of the world. Oh, look what these nasty people are doing to us. They're unaliving us in schools, they're unaliving us in hospitals, and they're unaliving us in mosques. Because they know. They know that all the Western civilized countries all follow rules, even in war. There's rules that you have to follow now when you go to war. You can't just go and blow up a hospital. You can't just blow a school up.
Yeah.
There's under the Human Convention of Human Rights and all that garbo, which they all know about. You can't go ahead and do those things, and they know that. That's why they use them to their benefit. They use all that to their benefit, knowing that you can't attack them.
So, do you
don't
know?
care.
Do you know through these protests, there
Who?
was like the protest that was happening. Like there was in my town there was a group of Muslims that called themselves a Muslim Defence League, and they go around with bats, with knives, but they didn't even get arrested. But when we do it, walking around with bats and knives, we get arrested. And we
Yes,
see like loads of Muslims with their hoods up and the masks on the
yes,
face,
yes,
with the black hoodies up, going
yeah,
around looking for
yeah,
the EDL,
yeah,
for
yeah,
the patriotic British person,
yeah,
wearing a flag or holding a flag up, they will attack them,
yes. Yeah. Well,
but they don't get locked up for it.
no, they won't do, because when you heard the police report, the police chief for that area, Birmingham, he came out and he did a report before it, and he said in hidden language, but if you listen to it and you could understand it, he said, "We have spoken with the leaders, the community leaders." That means the imams, the sheikhs, the muftis, and the caliphs. Okay, and between us, we have decided what type of policing we needed to do. Okay, that was his hidden language of basically saying, we went and saw them. They told us, we're so angry and mad. There's such a huge lot of us. If you come in here and try and police us, we will attack you and unalive all you policemen. You stay away and let us police us under our Sharia police and law, and we will deal with it. And that's what the police did. That's exactly what the police did. The police stayed 2 or 3 miles away with an exclusion zone all the way round, and they were telling white people, don't go in there, don't go in there, don't go in there, turn around, go away. And they left them to deal with it. Because, as I say, that's what he was saying when he said, we have come to an agreement of what type of policing is required. And the type of policing that was required is no UK police, only Sharia police. And the police agreed with it and allowed them to do it because they didn't want the hassle of doing it and a big war erupting, which would have happened. And of course, they didn't tell the rest of the country that that's what they had agreed, because again, they knew if they told the rest of the country the truth, the rest of the country would have been up in arms about it. Hold on, how can you police everyone, but you can't police them? How can they get away with it? because they said, if you don't let them do it, we're going to, basically run amok. And this is what the rest of the country needs to wake up to and say, look, there's I don't know how many Muslims are currently in the UK. Out of I don't know even the total population of that. I think it's 6 million, 6 or 7 million. It's something like the total population of the UK. And I think it's like 20 or 30% of that is Muslim. So you've got 1 million to 1.5 million out of the 7 million who is controlling the police force, just by saying, if you don't let us do it, we will, make sure, that we will do it, and you ain't going to stop us. Just imagine if the other 6 million or the other 5 million got together and did that same thing.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Wow. Exactly. The police would shit themselves and the Muslims would shit themselves as well.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what needs to happen. That's exactly what needs to happen before it gets too late. But whether it will or not, I don't know, because that's what I say. Unfortunately, there are just too many, everyone love each other and everyone kiss each other and everyone be friends with each other. There's just too many of them in the UK as well. And they will never ever agree to it, unfortunately.
Far left.
Yeah, it's a shame, but eventually they're going to find out. Eventually they're going to find out how wrong they were to take that approach.
Yeah, there's a lot of people giving you hate in the comments.
Oh, I know there will be. There will be. I know.
Threatening you.
Oh, I know there will be. There'll be. Oh gosh, yeah. Oh yeah, there will be. That's what I say. They don't, because it's the truth. They don't want anyone to know the truth because they're not in a position yet to do what they want to do, which is basically overtake the whole of the UK. And soon they will be in that position, but they're not yet. And so obviously everyone who stands up and Tommy Robinson was one of the first ones, and he's currently in prison. And that's because of the Muslims. Muslims put him in prison.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, he was sticking up for the boys at the school, wasn't he? Who attacked the Syrian refugee, innit?
Yeah.
And he proved that it was the Syrian refugee who was the one who was at fault. It wasn't the English boys who attacked him who was at fault. It wasn't a racist attack, as they all made it out to be. There was nothing to do with that. And he proved it. And yet, because the Muslims had paid the police, they'd paid the courts, they'd paid the judge, they all found in it their favour, didn't they? Because they'd paid them all off. And the judge, of course, because Tommy Robinson had made that film, which proved it, he then also had to ban the film. Because obviously he don't want people watching that film proving that he was a bent judge, which he obviously was. And the government, as I say, they were behind it. They closed the school down. The whole school was closed down. They paid the teachers £250,000 to stay quiet with full state pensions. Wow. Exactly. With full state pensions. Because they closed the school down, there was no job for the teachers anymore. The headmaster had no job anymore, and he couldn't get another job. The other teachers involved, couldn't get a job no more because they closed the school down. And they couldn't get another job anywhere else. There was only one person involved who managed to get another job as a probation officer within the government, a government job. But they got paid £250,000 not to talk about the case and not to appear at court and full state pensions at the age of 40. And Tommy Robinson went and interviewed them all with secret cameras and secret recording equipment. And because they didn't realise they were being filmed and recorded, they told him the truth. The Syrian refugee was the thug. He was the one who was going around beating everyone up. He was the one who was going around graping all the children. He was the one who was going around threatening to grape all the children. He was the one who was hitting girls with hockey sticks, injuring them for life with spinal injuries.
Yeah.
And eventually, the boy who attacked him in the school playground, he went up to his two smaller half-caste sisters. The white boy who attacked him had half-caste sisters, 7 years old. And the Syrian refugee attacked them and said he was going to grape them and then grape their mother. And that is why the boy attacked him in the playground. And that's the only reason why. And the Muzzies made a huge, great big thing about it. Oh, racist, racist. The telly and everyone got involved in it. Oh, racist, racist. The government got involved in it, closed the school down, paid the teachers off £250,000, give them full state benefits. And Tommy Robinson, that's what I say, he went to court with the boy, his two sisters, and two other witnesses, the girl who he attacked with the hockey stick and another girl, to give evidence against the Syrian refugee, which they did. All those children's lives were ruined by this case. They all gave evidence against the Syrian refugee. Tommy Robinson couldn't take the teachers, obviously. He couldn't show the film, obviously, although the judge did view it privately. And he had school reports. He managed to get the school through the Freedom of Information Act to give him the school reports. And all the school reports for the children that he took as witnesses were all highly good, highly brilliant children, no problems whatsoever. And all the school reports for the Syrian refugee were bad, lying, cheating, and one day even caught with a knife in his bag, a knife and a screwdriver, which when they caught him with it, he denied they were his, even though they were found in his bag. And the only person who went to court with him to stick up for him was his dad, called Jihad. And after the judge listened to all the evidence, listened to all the school reports, listened to the 5 independent children witnesses, also had the information, obviously, that the teachers had been paid to stay silent. Otherwise, obviously, they would have been in court as well because it happened on school property. After he'd seen the video where everything was admitted, he still found in favour of the Syrian refugee because he said, I don't know why people lie. Sometimes people lie for no reason whatsoever. And quite clearly, all of those 5 children are all lying. And the only one who's telling the truth is the Syrian refugee. And then he banned Tommy Robinson from ever showing the film ever again. Otherwise, he would be held in contempt of court. And eventually, Tommy Robinson said, fuck this, and he showed the film.
Yeah.
And now over 55 million people have seen it. And that's why he went back to court and they gave him 18 months in prison.
Well, I mean,
So
it
all
was
because of this one Syrian refugee and the lies of the Muslims and the lies of the government and the lies of the police to make it look like a racist attack, 5 other children's lives were totally destroyed. A whole school was shut down, and Tommy Robinson ended up in prison just because of one Syrian refugee.
Fucking joking it.
It is, yeah. It is. It is a big joke, mate. And the very similar case is Manchester Airport.
Yeah.
That was exactly the same thing. Look, Manchester Airport, they were going to do exactly the same thing there as they did with the Syrian refugee.
Yeah,
They've released half the video to make it look like the attackers were the victims and the victim were the attackers, the police.
Yeah.
And someone obviously, you know, with enough clout, managed to get the rest of the video out. Because I guarantee you, whoever set that up at the start to make it look like way wanted it to, you know, so none of us ever saw the beginning of that video. You know, they wanted it to look all the way along like it was the police who booted that man in the head for no reason. And if that had been the case, look what would have happened. Those policemen would have lost their jobs.
Yeah.
They'd have been out of jobs forever. You know, they'd have been in danger of their lives because Muslims would have gone out to try to attack them. The victims who actually assaulted the police viciously would have ended up getting thousands of pounds in compensation. And the Muslims would have won again by making it look like another racist attack against them. And that's why the attackers haven't been arrested and charged. And they won't be. Because influential, powerful people were behind trying to hide the truth and trying to make it look like the Muslims were the victims. And they failed this time. Now they're trying to find the person who leaked the beginning of the tape. They want to know who leaked the beginning of the tape. And they want to arrest that person and do that person more than the attackers. They don't care about the attack, they're not interested because they know all along the truth. They just want to know now who leaked that tape, the first part of it, because they didn't want it leaked.
No,
they didn't. That's what I say. And they would have already spent a lot of money, just like they did at the school, where they ended up spending over £250,000. They would have spent similar figures on that Manchester Airport attack to cover it up, to get it to the stage they already got it to. Lots of people would have already been paid a lot of money. And obviously all that's, gone, lost. That's why those people will never, ever be charged for that. Guarantee you. Because they already paid out a lot of money. Already top people were already involved in the cover-up. And because it all went tits up, they've now done a deal, obviously, with the CPS and the other people high up, never ever charge those two men. And they've agreed to it. They've agreed to it. That's why you'll never ever see those two men will never ever get charged. Ever. And this is what's happening now in the UK. That's what I say. You have to be very, very careful now at the moment. If you have a dispute or anything like that with a Muslim, then very, very careful, my friend. Because they'll make it look like you're the one who, was the aggressor or the attacker.
Yeah.
I'm not a Tommy Robinson hooligan. I'm a truthful hooligan, Mohammed Saeed. Idiot. Idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, they know the truth, They know the truth. So, I mean, when your dad is called Jihad, you don't need much more proof, do you?
Daddy Jihad, yeah.
Yeah, as I say, they pick their own names, They're not given those names from birth. They pick them. So, if someone picks out his own name and the name he picks out for himself is Jihad, you don't really need to know much more about the person, do you, really? It's obviously trouble.
Yeah.
So, all right then, my friend, I'm going to go now anyway because no muzzies are going to come
How
up and
many
talk.
viewers have you got?
Only 6, and I think most of them have gone home now as well.
I
But
think I
there
think the
was a few, there
six.
was quite a few muzzies in the chat, but they just stayed in the chat moaning,
Yeah, complaining.
moaning that I'm telling lies and I'm drunk and I
Yeah,
don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah,
making
all right.
claims. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I'm exposing you, mate. That's what I'm doing, and I'll keep on exposing you as well.
they don't like it.
No, of course they don't. That's what I say. Of course they don't, because if they get exposed now, then they're going to fail. That's what I say. That's the point. They're not going to be able to take over the UK.
No,
They'll get stopped from their mission.
that's why they
But,
want you banned.
yeah, exactly. As I say, they just want to take the UK over and turn it into another Sharia country. So that's their only aim. They don't care how they do it. As I say, they don't care how many people they unalive on the way to doing it. They just want to do it. But it's something that all of us should stop because, well, when they get hold of nuclear weapons, well,
God knows.
well, it is. It will be. Yeah, it will be. It
Yeah,
will be. You don't give a nuclear bomb to a complete and utter raving lunapathic psychopath, you know. And that's what Muslims are. So, very bad news that would be.
yeah, it's shocking. When you
But as
next
I
live
say,
on TikTok?
luckily we're okay now because of Trump. Because Trump's in power at least for another 4 years, we're okay. They won't take over the UK while Trump's in power because they'll just blow it up.
You
So
reckon
they're going to have to
straight?
at least wait until after he goes.
You
And
reckon?
let's just hope that when he does go, someone else takes over who's just the same. Because the longer we keep someone like that in power in the States, that will stop these muzzies in their tracks. As
Did you
soon as Biden and Camilla and all her lot get back in, that's it. That'll be it.
did you hear what JD Vance said about UK? He said UK is now a Muslim country with nuclear weapons. That's what the vice president said about the UK.
Yes,
That
well,
you,
it's true. It's
yeah,
true. It's true. And that's what I say as well, because it's so close to the USA as well. They'd be in huge danger as well. So
yeah.
that's what I say. As long as there's someone like Trump or someone like that there, then they'll stop it from happening. Hopefully, because
Yeah,
the UK
hopefully.
government won't. Especially when you've got a bloody stupid mayor like we got, who's more Muslim than bloody Allah. That's Sadiq Khan. He's a complete idiot moron. He is.
Yeah, nut job.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's a Muslim. He's a Muslim. We'll say
Yeah.
he's only bothered about the Muslims. That's why these pro-Palestine marches take place week after week with no problem, because he's in charge of the police. So he's the one who tells them, leave them alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, all a
When
big
you next
con.
live on TikTok?
Hey,
When you next live on TikTok?
Saturday,
Is that when you
Saturday.
are you
Yeah,
going live straight away or giving it time?
yeah. No, I will do. I'll go live straight away, as soon
Should
as
you
it
give it
comes back
time?
on. I'm not sure what time it is. It was around 8 o'clock, but it might be 8:20 or 8:25. But it was around 8 o'clock. As
No,
soon as the band ends, I'll go live.
like, should you give it time for give it a few more days?
No, because
Extra.
I'll be going back to work as well, so I won't have
Oh,
time after that until the following weekend. So I want to go at least Saturday night, because then I won't be able to do it again until the next Friday night.
are you doing like weekend streams only?
Yeah, it'd be weekend
Not
streams once I go
weekdays.
back to work. I was only doing it during the week because I've been off work. I've been on
Yeah.
holiday, So, but when the ban ends, I go back to work. So it'll only be weekends then when I'm at work. I mean, I might do the odd occasional one day here and there during the week, but it won't be
Yeah.
many.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
All right, Joshua, I'm going to head off now, I think, because all the Muslims are scared to come up and talk to me. I think
Yeah.
you scared them away, Joshua.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. All right, Joshua. God bless you. Peace of
All
Christ.
right. I'll keep an eye out on YouTube.
All right, sir. God bless
All right.
everybody. If there's 6 people, God bless you all. Peace of
bless.
Christ to you all.
Good
See
night.
you tomorrow night.
Good night.
Night.